Hello, in this video we will learn about the basal ganglia, the BG. Basal ganglia nuclei are a group of subcortical nuclei of varied origin in brain. So it is present between the forebrain and midbrain. So we will understand with the diagram. Let's understand now. This is the diagram of brain, which that show the forebrain is the upper part, is the frontal lobe is the forebrain, and between this is the midbrain. Between the midbrain and forebrain, this is the basal ganglia present, which that contain a different type of nuclei. Let's begin to understand. This is the thalamus, remember, and this is the cerebrum. And this is the cerebellum, used for the control of the motor movement. This is the caudate nucleus and the globus pallidus. Putamen nucleus, and this is amygdala and the substantia nigra. This is the sagittal view, remember. And let's begin to understand the front view. This is the basal ganglia part. Let's begin to understand the frontal view, the front of the brain. It is the cross section but the front, which that show the different region, which that's going to here is the fornix, and this is the thalamus, the bigger picture, and the globus pallidus, internus and externus collectively. This is the mammillary body, remember, and this is the caudate nucleus, and the putamen nucleus is the down, while the amygdala is here, and the hippocampus is downward. Hippocampus is used for the long-term memory and emotion and store the memory. This is the pons and cerebellum and medulla and spinal cord. So this is the front view. The thalamus and the corpus striatum, it is contain putamen, caudate and amygdala, while have been splitted out to show detail here. Let's begin to understand the separate part of the basal ganglia and how it look like. So the limbic system we will not learn, but we will understand about the basal ganglia, and the next video we will learn about the limbic system. This is the caudate nucleus are present here because it is tail-like structure and processed to end with the amygdala. While there is the lenticular nucleus contain globus pallidus, internus and externus, as well as putamen nucleus. Amygdala is here. Let's look at the frontal view of the cross section again, and in this way we will understand the cross section. So let's begin to understand. Here is the caudate nucleus, another picture to understand better, and this is the putamen nucleus here and the periphery of the brain, you can understand, and this is the globus pallidus and internus and externus collectively, while the amygdala complex are present in the blue color, and the nucleus accumbens are present here in the form of pair. So the each nuclei are in the present in the form of pairs. Let's understand about the tegmentum are present here. This is the part of the midbrain, and the red nucleus are present, the red nuclei in the form of pair, and the substantia nigra. Substantia nigra is named due to the black color. Substantia nigra contain pars compacta and pars reticulata. The function of the substantia nigra is basically every part is basically control the motor activity. So this is the higher brain cortex, which that gets the stimulus and transmits the signal toward the basal ganglion. Basal ganglion contain a glutaminergic neuron, which that will be stimulate and produce the glutamate to stimulate the striatum subcortical structure. The subcortical structure is known as the striatum, composed with the dorsal striatum and ventral striatum. Dorsal striatum contain a caudate nucleus and putamen nucleus, while the ventral striatum contain nucleus accumbens and olfactory uh, tubercle. This black color arrows is showing that glutamate producing, while next we will understand with the brown color arrow. But this is the red color arrow shows the GABA, which that in this way when get the striatum through GABA stimulation, subcortical structure will lead to stimulate the globus pallidus externus through GABAergic neuron and globus pallidus internus, substantia nigra, pars reticulata, and uh, so only. And this is the reticulata, pars reticulata will stimulate the thalamus, while the substantia nigra, pars reticulata is stimulate the thalamus through GABAergic neuron, GABAminergic or GABAergic neuron, while the thalamus when stimulated will lead to stimulate the hippocampus for storage of memory, long-term memory, while the substantia nigra will stimulate the reticulata, pars reticulata through through glutamate, and in this way when it will be stimulate will lead to it when it will inhibit it will be not stimulate, while when it will be stimulate through a glutamate will lead to stimulate further on. So in this way the thalamus will stimulate the hippocampus for memory, and this hypothalamus also transmits the signal into the higher brain cortex for storage of long-term memory like motor memory, the movement memory, how to move, how to walk. Substantia nigra pars compacta also dopaminergic neuron, which that is the neurotransmitter is the dopamine, is due to the reward stimulation will lead to activate the striatum and directly also the higher brain cortex. So the glutamatergic excitatory, while the GABAergic is the inhibitory neurons, collectively work to inhibit and stimulate for the smooth and normal function, like the function we will discuss now here. Eye movement and the role in motivation through dopamine. So that is why the dopamine will give the positive feedback to the brain striatum to the higher brain cortex. Decision making and the working memory through basal ganglia and inhibit the excessive movement. In this way, the excessive movement inhibition due to the controlling mechanism. Continuously inhibition and excitation will lead to control. Inhibit the and the muscle control, motor learning, executive function, behavior, and emotion like love and hate will store in the hippocampus after the stimulation of the thalamus to the hippocampus. So the Parkinson disease is the important which that will not function correctly. The basal ganglia will lead to uncontrolled seizure, the stooped posture, back rigidity, and flexed elbow and wrists, tremors leg, reduced arm swing, hand tremor, and slightly flexed hip and knee, as well as masked face. So this is due to the basal ganglia improper working. What that means? That means the dopamine will not produce easily, and in this way the GABA also and some the dopamine will not release, because the dopamine is responsible for the stimulation of further GABA production due to the stimulation of the striatum to further processing lead to thalamus, and on the other hand will working. So here is the Parkinson affected neuron, postsynaptic neuron and presynaptic neuron will lead to inhibit, because dopamine will lead to positive feedback for further movement. So the dopamine is a major stimulator of the striatum, lead to function proper of the basal ganglia further on. So the dopamine therapy can be introduced for the Parkinson disease person, as well as the smoking or other things, prescription through doctors, which that will lead to nicotine increase the dopamine for working proper for the Parkinson disease, but it is not too much effective. So L-Dopa also introduced for that. So thanks for watching. Bye.